Welcome back.
All right, here we are. Welcome back to Building Together. My host, Mike Keelamar. We're still getting used to this, but I think it's kind of fun.
It is fun.
So today we're going to be talking about vision.
Yeah. How vision supersedes everything.
Yeah, because, it's funny. We bought this property.
Yeah.
It was an absolute shit show.
June of 2020. So
absolute shit show.
thick of pandemic.
Had three trailers on it.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's not like an absolute shit show. It definitely feels like a shit show when you looked at it because you're like, we gotta get 3 trailers off, gotta repaint. There's just a lot of things to do.
Yeah.
And most importantly, I think the shit show part of it is actually the fact that there's a highway running behind our house and a drainage ditch running in the middle.
Yeah, but to be fair, in the beginning, we didn't care because we were coming from a very small 500 square foot apartment with a shared courtyard and like one house plant. And then we were suddenly stewarding a half an acre of land and a home and citrus trees and avocados and lemons. And so I didn't really care about. We were literally the perfect buyers.
We literally have the perfect buyers.
Because we were like so eager to get out of LA and like I didn't really care about the highway then. I didn't start to think about it as much until later, but even now I'm whatever.
Yeah.
It's part of the story. It's our urban flower farm.
Yeah, and I think when we think about vision though, right? When we showed up.
Yeah.
So like
Going
I just
back to
remember
that.
when I remember I was like, "Oh dude, this is the property." Like you're not going to find something like this where we found it for the price we got it for. Yeah. You're not going to find it. And I just remember sitting in the car going, oh, my God, is she going to want to do this? And she gets in the car, and I go, well, what do you think? She goes, let's fucking do it. And I was like, oh, my God. Okay. I'm all right. Here we go.
I was a little aggressive.
You're a little aggressive. But vision started right that moment.
It did. That's true. I haven't thought about that.
That moment. Yeah. Like, I saw it, and I was like, oh, I could see what this could be. Yeah. And then when you came back and said, let's do it, what were you thinking?
Well,
what was your vision
fair,
at that time?
My vision was not a flower farm.
Well, of
at
course.
all.
Of course.
So
what did we call it?
This place?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. A sanctuary?
A sanctuary.
Yeah. Well, to us, it was like an oasis, a sanctuary with all this land and the potential and the vision we saw. I mean, I just saw, I don't know. I didn't garden at all or have any green thumbs, so I don't even know what I saw.
Yeah.
I saw chickens and like a farm. Well, to be fair, we had also just recently watched that documentary.
The Biggest Little Farm.
Yes, The Biggest Little Farm. So I think I had my own smaller scale version of that with like farm animals and a lot of plants and a garden and flowers, but it was not streamlined. It was like blurry.
It wasn't
it was a
there.
blurry vision.
That's the thing about the vision, right?
Yeah.
But I think what's hilarious is we called it the sanctuary.
Yeah.
Because it was a sanctuary. But if you look at anybody outside of California, right, my dad, I remember when he saw this, he's like, there's a highway in your backyard?
Yeah.
Right? That's not a sanctuary. My brother, he goes, you can't really call it Ventura Sanctuary. Isn't a sanctuary like peaceful?
Isn't it like quiet and stuff?
I mean, the highway's not bad, but you hear it, right?
So
you see it.
Our bubble was burst. We were like, oh, well,
yeah, but here's
guess.
The thing. We still see it. I still believe this entire property can actually be that sanctuary.
100%.
And that's the thing about vision supersedes everything.
Yes.
So fuck my brother.
We love you, Jay. We're teasing.
Right? But he was true. He was being honest. He was like, yeah, man, how are you going to make this a sanctuary? And in my head, I go, I don't know. We're going to find out, aren't we?
Yeah.
And so I think when we think about the vision, it's like the vision supersedes everything. That's what you said.
And it's usually only the person or the joint team that really has the vision where you are talking about it every single day. And and I think that's how, by talking about it every single day in some capacity, that's how the vision supersedes everything. Otherwise, it's self-doubt because we let self-doubt creep in based on other people's thoughts. And we're like, oh yeah, you're right. That's a dumb idea, But then you kind of get back on your feet and you keep talking about it and you keep going and I don't know.
Yeah, yes. And I think, then people always think, well, how do you get vision, right?
Well, yeah.
This thing like, some people are born with it. Sure, LeBron James was probably born a better athlete than I was,
Maybe a little.
But at the same time, it's still a skill. You may not get to that level, but vision's the same thing. We can build the skill of creating vision, right? And so if you were to
that's exactly right. We've built the skill and cultivated and nurtured that skill of
how do you
building
think we've
vision.
Done that?
I think it's a myriad of things. Like for me, it's probably a lot of podcasts, like listening to a lot of other people building their vision and knowing it's totally possible because people start from nothing. And so if you have the right people in your ear, like, and you're listening to their average and that they did it versus the naysayers, that's been helpful for building the vision. Like, you know, looking at Pinterest, you go on Pinterest and you search anything and you're like, it's been done before. Somebody did it. It's not that hard. And so it's just like, it's the content you're searching. It's the books you're reading. It's the people, it's your partner who either believes in you or runs you down and runs your ideas down. And that's a big part of it.
It is a big part of it. But I think, and those are all massive things. I think the big thing is just thinking in the term of what's possible.
Yeah.
Now, so like, and you got to think about it. The problem is we as humans, right, going back to the neural wiring in your mind, we are often, what happens after a certain age, right, you no longer think outside the box. As a kid, you can pretend, like upwards of like 8 years old, you're like, I'm a superhero, I'm a mermaid, right? And like your mind is able to
think. Were you a mermaid when you were like 8-year-old boy?
No, I was giving examples for both sides of the gender.
Oh, I'm teasing.
I said superhero and a mermaid. Anyway.
I just pictured you like a really pretty mermaid.
Oh, God, all right. Thanks. So my point is as kids, right, we don't put these constraints or these boxes on how we see things.
Yeah. Or how we see ourselves.
Yeah. So everything is possible. That's what do you want to be when you grow up? An astronaut, right?
Yeah,
like you think about everything is possible. And then as time goes on, the world, society, experiences will put these, you start squishing the box. And so like whenever you look at this property, anything we do, it's just simply, well, what's possible?
Yeah.
And like, let's be honest, some of it's like asinine, right? Like, I don't know. The one thing that I kept saying to myself, and I've said it for 3 straight years, is how do we turn the highway into an asset? I still haven't really found it, but I started seeing other things because the cool thing about this highway is that it's a hill, right? It hills up to the highway. Not level, not down. And if we plant enough trees or get enough trees in there, all of a sudden you have yourself a canopy of trees over the entire property.
Yeah, totally.
And that becomes a sanctuary. Anyway, what's possible?
What's possible? Well, and I think also something you've said to me over the last few years is like belief. We talk a lot about belief and you're like, I just want you to believe in yourself. You would actually ask me the question, do you believe in yourself? Do you believe you can do this? Do you believe we can do this? And like that simple question, when someone asks you that and just says like, do you believe in yourself? Do you believe in us? Like that's a powerful question.
Yeah, because you really need a gut check on that. You're like, oh shit, I have to answer. Like if I answer that and say yes and I'm lying to myself, you will feel it.
Yeah, totally.
And if you say no, you will also feel that. It's like, shit, I got some work to do.
Yeah. And it's easy to doubt. And
of course, I doubt all the time.
Right. But I think it's just the ongoing conversation, like you said. I also do a lot of writing. So I'm always writing out my ideas on paper. You write on your computer. Used to write a lot more, but I think you're more into reading now.
I do a lot of reading,
So it just
but I think about stuff all the time because I do this stuff called mental work, right?
Yeah.
I do this
so
mental
you
work.
Envision.
Oh, I literally paint pictures.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. Can you share a little bit about that?
So I'll share on it briefly, but it's like I've learned how to basically take my mind and sit there. I call it mental work because I'm actually doing work in the mind, and I start to drop my brain waves down from beta. Like this is beta, back and forth talking, and then there's alpha where you can sit and daydream. Sorry, I got hiccups. And you can sit and daydream in alpha, and then you get the theta. Theta is like right before you fall asleep, so you're lucid, right? Your body's asleep, but your mind's awake. And in that moment, that little area before you hit delta, which is deep sleep, you sit in this black space, and you can start to construct things. And I'll often construct things, and sometimes it darts around, and like sometimes I see bad things I need to fix, and then I usually see the opposite. And like I remember one time I was doing this, and for some reason I just saw trees and plants just blowing out of the ground.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, we can build this into the sanctuary.
So cool.
And it was just trees popping out of the hill.
Yeah.
Growing. And I was like, oh my God. And it became almost a jungle-like thing.
Yeah.
And we got a lot of work to do. You can't just sit there and think it's going to show up.
Right.
You got to do the work. But the point is,
if
you got to know what work to do.
Trees,
yeah, you got trees? We need trees.
We'll take trees.
Anyway,
But
Anyway,
I
there's
think
that.
that's I mean, envisioning stuff is like next level, and just because how often do we sit without a phone or without a notebook or without anything stimulating us, like just thinking about ideas and creating in our minds? Like we just don't really do that anymore.
You can design the life you want.
Yeah.
You literally can design it. Now, it takes work.
Yeah.
Right? People are like, oh, well, I can't do it. So any of you who are out there like, well, it's not because I ain't got it. Like, you shouldn't listen to this podcast. Unless you're willing to change.
Well, remember we actually talked about like design your life was like our headline to our website like 4 years ago or something. Or maybe
I don't
longer.
remember what it was.
But it's the same thing. It's essentially what we're talking about. Building together,
we're just
designing your life.
We're just trying to document it and do it as an example.
Yeah. So
look, if us two Midwesterners, middle class Midwesterners, right, can do it.
So
you can do it.
Let the vision supersedes.
The vision supersedes everything, and it changes.
Yeah.
But pay attention to the vision. Talk about the vision.
Yeah.
And make sure you're on the same page.
Yep.
That's it. Vision supersedes.
Yeah. I love this podcast episode. It's a good one.
Ah, it was great. I'm going to go re-listen to our voices over and over and over. Kidding.
You weirdo.
All right.
Okay.
See ya.
Well, see you later.